My name's Rob McIntosh. I'm a brand ambassador for a winery from Rioja in Spain called Dinastia Vivanco, owned by the lovely Vivanco family. And we are here because one part of my job is generally communicating about wine, getting people excited about, passionate about wine. And I've been invited to a tasting by a wine bar, Corny & Barrow in London. So it's, I think it's wine time, so let's go inside and have a drink. I mean a taste. Well, being a brand ambassador, it's quite a new thing for the wine business. People have done this for spirits brands and champagne brands for a while, but it's quite new for wine. So basically it can pretty much mean whatever I think it ought to mean for the winery. So I do wine tastings, I do wine events, I'll pour wine for consumers at events, I'll take people to Rioja so we can visit it from a tourism angle. I'll come to tastings and tell people about it. So it's a big mixture of things. The key idea is to get the message of the winery to consumers and the business, the people who buy the wine for the restaurants. What I love about the wine business is the wine, the business, the people, just the variety of things. People who make wine tend to be quite they're nice people. They're quite grounded because wine is a real agricultural product. It's something you actually have to grow the grapes. So you're not just making something from industrial products. And the wine itself, obviously the wine has a great role in our life to make everything more fun and exciting. But it's also something that's been around for thousands of years, so it has a lot of history in our culture. And I like that particular angle of it, is exploring how important it is to us, beyond it just being an alcoholic drink. There's more to it than that. Becoming a brand ambassador in wine is quite a new thing, as I said, so there's no strict path to getting there. My particular path, I started out 15 years ago, I'm not that old, in the exhibition business, trade exhibitions, trade shows, so business to business mainly, organising events and marketing them around the world. And I did that for 9 years, but 9 years of that was quite long. And the last few years I was working on taking those magazine ideas and trade shows onto the web. The dot-com bubble burst, I was made redundant, as with a lot of people in the early 2000s, and I was looking for something a bit more exciting and different to do with my life. As a wine drinker, I had already started courses, wine tasting courses, with the Wine and Spirit Education Trust. It's the industry standard for people who want to get into the wine business. So if you're interested in wine, you really must look at the WSET. Everybody does it. So I'd already done that as an interested consumer. So when I was made redundant, I took that package and I thought, I want to work. I actually want to do something exciting and fun with my life, and I want to get into the wine business. Unfortunately, the wine business is not a very big business, so it is not that easy to get into. And they value experience of wine pretty much over everything else. So you have to know something about wine, bring something to it. So I finished my courses, I took that package and I went around. People weren't interested in hiring someone with no experience, so I offered to work for free. And I was taken on by a wine agent, someone who represents wineries and sells their wines in the UK to restaurants, supermarkets and so on. A company called Bibendum. They were quite forward-looking in terms of marketing. So they offered me a temporary post to get the experience, and in the meantime the job came up and they knew me, so they hired me. And I worked for them for 3 years. So the great thing was to get that experience of the trade. And then I decided that I wanted to do, actually what I really wanted to do was work with a winery. I like the communications, I like sharing things. I didn't necessarily want to get involved in the selling of wine. So I made my own role. I contacted wineries that I already knew, the people I knew, the wines I loved, and I said, look, I'd like to do this interesting new thing for you, and they said yes. So in terms of, it's a new area, but I think the message there is that if you're really passionate about something and you actually know something about your industry, you can create your own role. And there are, in small industries like wine, are actually quite traditional, there are actually a lot of opportunities to create new things and take a whole industry forward. I think WIGO is a great idea. I mean, in principle, the idea of seeing new careers. How do we come across a career? We see it on our friends do it, our parents do it, we see it on a television show. If you don't come into contact with an industry, you probably never hear about it. And most people's contact with the wine industry are the shelves in a supermarket. You don't see this part of it. So I think from that aspect, I think this is brilliant. You can do it yourself, a lot of this stuff, by getting out there, meeting people, going to networking events, and actually trying to meet people. And if this is a way into that world, I think that's a really good thing. I think the idea of mentors is great. I've had unofficial mentors in my life, making it a bit more formal and having someone to ask questions of. I think that's a really good idea. So I'm happy to volunteer to become a mentor.